Man, as soon as I saw Wildflower in the emails, I was really excited about it. I saw the trailer, was really into it. My only thing though is it's complimentary and it's anxiety ridden on my end because you have such a great cast, and I'm just thinking, how does a filmmaker, how is he or she able to actually bring an entire amazing cast together and pull it off, I guess, on the day of production? Because on one hand, it's a blessing, but on the other hand, you're just multitasking so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, I really did luck out with the cast. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, it literally, it was every single one of my first choices. I mean, it was just, I really did luck out. And it's funny you say that about the anxiety because I did have, I mean, I had all of them, in one room in the hospital, and it was like it was very. And initially, what was funny was initially I had planned it out that it was going to be a one take, so it was going to be basically 6 minutes in that, when we first sort of meet B, and it was going to be a one take, and then very quickly on the day, I was like I aborted because I think we started, and then I was like, you know what, there's too much. These guys are too good, and I have too many incredible reactions and stuff that I'm missing by having it be a one take. So we ended up kind of punting that idea because it was just they're just too good, and I wanted to give each person their time.
How close were you, I guess, during the production with Kiernan? Because you're obviously it's inspired by your own niece, but she, I was looking at interviews and she said she cried the first time she read the script, but also just workshopping it and working with her. What does that entail as far as she's your lead and you want to make sure that, she really loves what you're doing, but then ultimately you guys are pretty much a partnership. How does that go about?
Yeah, I mean, Kiernan and I met, we talked extensively about the project, about the character. She kind of, actually, I think, well, yeah, it was coming from her that she really, part of her process was not necessarily to like sit down with my niece and instead sort of take stuff off the page and just anecdotes and make it her own, which I think was which was really cool. And what I was totally, I was into that as well. So we really just talked about the character in terms of the character on the page, and kind of, use that as our, that was kind of the bulk of it. There was no kind of, okay, let's go back and look at interviews or look at some of the footage of Christina. I think it was really Kiernan kind of wanting to use that as an inspiration, but then just make it her own.
So I'm looking at your IMDb. I could be wrong on this. This is your first directing feature film debut kind of thing. I guess in sum, what was the biggest lesson you learned just from this entire experience that you're going to take on to your next project?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been sort of training for this. I feel like my whole career, I've been directing commercials and music videos and short films, and I've really kind of stayed in my lane, and I've really enjoyed telling shorter stories, but really they're narrative focused commercials. So they always sort of have beginning, middle, and an end, and oftentimes, they kind of, I don't know. I've been told, people cry more at some of the commercials I've done than anything they've seen. And so I don't know. I guess for me it was kind of bringing everything that I've been doing for the last 15 years, and just kind of bringing my A game and really, in terms of what I learned, look, the actors were so fucking good. I don't know if I can say that on here, but
You can say
yeah.
that. You can say it. Yeah.
Okay. That, it was one of those things for me where it was like, so I guess maybe I was used to kind of directing a little bit more in terms of performances and stuff. And I think I just found, learned really quickly to just kind of get out of the way, and make sure not to, I just felt like almost less is more with this kind of caliber of actor. So that was certainly something that I learned very quickly. And then I think just being prepared, I think, and that was something that I guess just again from doing this for a bit, I was very, very prepared, and I didn't storyboard, but I shot listed every single beat in the movie, and so I sort of came with, I feel like I had enough prep, just sort of enough, and I was able to kind of come feeling very prepared.
We could spend hours going over it. Even some of the smaller roles. We could talk about Victor forever, Charlie
Oh
Plummer.
man.
I
Yeah.
can, yeah, so many. I mean, even something like Erica Alexander. That's a great choice. But I want to focus in on Samantha Hyde. I was looking at interviews, and she mentioned how this role really helped. I mean, paraphrasing, just was really gratifying for her, and it helped express herself creatively to the fullest, pretty much paraphrasing. Just what does that feel like for you as a collaborator to see that? Because on the flip side, people like me are going to really recognize her and praise her work. But you as the artist, what does it feel like to know that one of your actors really had such an amazing experience on your film?
Oh, it was everything. I mean, that was, we did a nationwide search for that role, and that, look, we weren't going to make the movie if I hadn't found Samantha. I wouldn't have made the movie. So it really is. That's like the best news ever to hear that. I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, I mean that not only warms my heart, but I mean that was, she was responsible really for us and ending up making the movie. I mean, I just couldn't make it without finding that role, and it wasn't easy. And so yeah, I'm so proud of her. And she just she was really like a beacon of light with so much positivity, and she brought, kind of brought this incredible energy every day. And yeah, it was really great. I mean, and look at who she was working with, all these veterans in many ways, and she just marched right in there and just did her thing.
I think fortunately and unfortunately, I can really relate to B in the sense that just on a surface level, it's just hard to letting go of the people that you love, and you might micromanage people just and suffocate them, but there is a necessity behind that as well. Could you see that? Do you think that's very relatable for you as a person, as a family man, or did you learn and let go yourself? You're like, that's not a part of who you are.
No, I think, I sort of, yeah, I think it brought up a lot of things for me in terms of just reliving some of my own, my own experiences. And obviously I went to college, I left my family. I have kids myself, and now we're starting to enter into that phase of, what, my daughter's going to be leaving us. And so, I think there's a real universal kind of truth. And I hope that everyone can kind of apply some of their own history and stories to it, for sure.
Yeah, what were the biggest lessons you've learned making this, as far as Wildflower goes, and working with Kiernan? Because I think she just really, I've seen her in a lot of stuff, and she's just so awesome in the lead, and she really anchors this narrative.
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of trusting your gut, and casting, is everything. And so if you cast it right, and you're really hard on the choices that you make, you're going to end up with something, I think, that you're proud of. And I just did. I trusted my gut, and I knew immediately. Like, Kiernan was my first choice. We met, and then having just sort of after that conversation, I knew immediately that she was the one. So I think it's like, it really is just trusting your gut, and sometimes I think there's outside voices who kind of come in and say, oh, maybe this person's worth this, or this person does that. I think you just really got to just lean in on how you feel as a filmmaker. And so I would, I would just continue to do that. I think it served me well.
Just on the business side, Matt, I don't know if you're a Gen Xer. I'm a little bit older than you, but I used to remember when movies like Wildflower would open up in a theater, and
Yeah.
it'd stay there for several weeks, and you let it grow. But
Yeah.
look, the cool thing about this is it opens, I believe, March 17th, and then
Yep.
it's on digital and on demand March 21st. How happy are you with that? I mean, it's one of these things, like, we can't watch everything in theaters, but do you like the way the release platform is for Wildflower?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't quite understand what's happening now in terms of, family dramedies. There's not many of them to go see. And even though that's something for sure, my family loves, and we would go, the kids are looking for. Yeah, so look, I'm happy we're in theaters. It's limited, and then it does go to Hulu. I think it's maybe a month after. I think maybe the first week of May it'll be on Hulu. So I'm really thrilled about that, and I feel like everybody's gonna be able to see it, in some way, whoever wants to.
Matt, final
Like,
question is,
hmm.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, one thing about being in a theater is, not that I'm comparing my movie in any capacity to Triangle of Sadness, but the idea of seeing a movie that I didn't, the title obviously was sort of, it doesn't say ring comedy. And so I was very, and I didn't read anything about it when I saw it. This was a while ago, but seeing it in a theater with people laughing, and it just becomes infectious, and you're sort of laughing so hard you're crying because the guy next to you is like, can't stop. It's like, there's something about that that I hope that the theater experienced with my movie. At least the moments that are funny, you know, you laugh collectively, and then the moments that are emotional, you know, you can feel like, okay, kind of sharing in that with the random person next to you. I think there's something, you know, really special about that. And
just very quickly on the really special part, what was that day shooting the sequence with Jacki Weaver and Jean Smart? That sequence, it's emotional. You're obviously professional. You're the filmmaker, but what was it like? It just from your POV shooting them in that
oh man, in the bathroom scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two legends. I mean, you know what's funny is, so it was a public school. I was really crazed because there were like mosquitoes for some reason, which, you know, in LA, there's not many. And so it's like Jean, it was such a trooper, was sitting outside getting like, you know, mosquitoes were coming after her. There was no trailer. I mean, this was an indie movie. And so both of those women just blew me away. So then I'm sort of stressed out about them, like having to deal with that. Then it wasn't a set. Like I found that bathroom. It was a public school bathroom. So then I put them both in this, you know, like public school bathroom, and look, we didn't have much time, and they just, I feel like we banged that out in maybe 2.5 hours or something. And that was really amazing. Yeah, I absolutely loved shooting that scene.
That's a great moment. Okay, finally, just right off the top of your head, Matt, can you name one of your all-time favorite films? And what is it about this movie that resonates with you, most importantly, as a cinephile?
Yeah, I mean, look, off the top of my head, I mean, definitely top 10 would be The Graduate. And I do think there is sort of this coming of age, obviously in a very different manner, but I think I really love, you know, coming of age, whether it's in books or movies, and obviously they come in all different kind of fashions. But yeah, that would be one that I always go. I have to watch that movie once a year. And Harold and Maude, I think, are the two kind of top for me.
Those are great choices. Very quickly before you leave, The Graduate, happy ending, sad ending, or is it a great ending because it's so everyone can interpret that ending to their own, wherever they are in their life, you know? So.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said it. I mean, for me, it's funny. It depends on the mood that I'm in when I watch it and the state of mind. But it can either be tragic or it could be so fucking awesome, beautiful. Yeah, I think it sort of depends, and that's why, you know, I love that so much, and it doesn't get old for me, that movie.
Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your film, and good luck with it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Take care.
Okay, bye.